Okay, now that you got that much on the seat done, you can take boards 1 and 5 and put them aside. Take boards 2, 3, and 4, and you can actually glue them up after you've put your dowels in there, of course, your dowel hole. When you put, when you drill number 3, for instance, well, just use your dowel locator in there and mark board number 2. So you don't have to mark number 2, because when you put the dowel locator in there, you just set your board up on all 3 of them and just give it a light tap. Now you've got spots that will exactly match this hole. And you can do that on both sides of this one. Then you do the same thing with that. On the other side, for boards 5 and boards 1, you do the same thing. You can hand drill those holes. We want to take boards 1 and 5, and we want the outside edge on each of the boards. And we want to put those outside edges face to face. And this is important, that both of these boards are the same thickness. They don't have to be the same width. They have to be close so that it looks symmetric when your seat's put together. And we're going to work on these 2 outside boards. We've already got the marks using the where the front and the back legs go, so we know where they are. We only need it on 1 board, really, but we do have them. Now we take these 2 boards and we set them down on the table. We're going to cut the front and the back position for the front leg and the back leg. Now we can cut these out, set the saw to the height in your instructions. It will tell you how high to put it in your instructions, and we'll nibble away at it. Now when you do nibble away at that joint and you finish cutting it, what will happen is that your table saw, this is a piece of the seat board right now. And what you're doing is cutting this portion away right here, this inside. You haven't made this outside yet, cutting this portion. Now it's very important that this area here, if you use the table saw, you clean it up either with a chisel, this area here with a chisel, or a file, because when you do with the table saw, it's going to leave little bitty grooves, and it'll feel a little bumpy. And what happens is, when you make this cut, the bearing rides on here, and it will telegraph that into this finished edge here, and it'll have a sloppy fit there, so you don't want that. Sam Maloof uses a chisel. Chisel's fine. A file will do just fine, or you can use a router bit. If you're set up with a router bit, you can take a router bit and with a bearing on it and just clean that up. Makes it nice, clean fit. Okay? Now, and that's for the front and the back leg both. If you do it the way I showed you on the back leg with the table saw, you're okay. If you do it with a bandsaw, you're going to have to clean up those joints with a router. And just put a straight edge router with a top bearing on it, flush bearing, and just run along that bearing and clean that joint up. What we'll have is, when we take the router 1/4 inch, we want a 1/4 inch tongue here. And we're going to run the, where's my handy dandy tool? I've misplaced my tool. That's a bummer. Oh, here it is. That's one of the most handy things I've ever had. It's free at a lot of shows. Stainless steel tool. But what happens is that when you cut this with a saw, come in here with a piece of steel. It could be one of these or one similar to it, and you clean these corners up. This inside corner doesn't make any difference. You can really clean it. It never shows. But you want to clean those corners up because they'll get burrs on them. And you'd be surprised how often that little bitty burr will mess up your fit. And you'll wonder, what's going on? So you want to clean those up. Always clean those up, the burrs. Now you take your router bit, and it will be like this one here. It's got a bearing on the bottom, and it will cut a 1/4 inch deep. This is a 1/4 inch here, and it'll make a round over in the corners, and you cut that on your seat boards. Now, I had a couple seat boards available, but they went ahead and got their legs put on them for some reason, so I can't show you that. But here's what'll happen. This is, pretend like these are the long seat boards. This is the front leg. You've got both of them facing each other. You cut that out. Now you take your router, and if you've got a plate on it like this, which is really handy, you take these two boards and you set it right over the top, and you just route like this. Now what happens is that by doing that with those two together, it stops tear out because they're flush. They won't have the tape on it like I do on this one. And then you just turn it over and you do the other side also. If you have a router table, that's even great. If you don't, put a plate on your router like this, and it's a lot easier than turning a router up this way and moving it around. It's a lot heavier to move like this. If you need to, clamp it to a table or whatever you do, a plate, and you route this. Now you do the same thing for the back. The back will be two pieces like this, and you'll route them out, and they'll give you the 1/4 inch tongue the same way, and the round over in the corner. They'll do the same way in the corner. Oh, if you're satisfied with those seat joints, then you can glue boards 1 and 5 to the other 3 boards if you want to.